Oh, it's arrived! We've got our powrtouch Evolution motor mover. It's a twin axle 4-wheel drive mover with cross actuation bars. We're going to show you how to fit it, unboxing of it, what's in the boxes, how it goes on. So let's see what happens. Coat off job because it's getting warm. Right, so we've had the delivery of the powrtouch Evolution all-wheel drive motor mover. This is for a twin axle. Now, whether you're fitting a 2-wheel drive on a twin axle or the 4-wheel drive, and actually the single axle movers are very similar. So we're going to start unboxing, get everything out. We're going to show you what's in the boxes, how they come. Our first box, we've got the controls. So this is the main controller for the powrtouch. So we've got the control box and the handset. So this is what we're going to wire everything into, and this is what's going to actually control the motor mover. Next up, we've got the covers. So two sets or one set of covers for front or back set of movers. This is just going to make it look a little bit prettier. When we fit a motor mover, we'll fit in all of the, we'll fill in the instructions with our serial number, the customer's name, the electronics number which is on top of the electronics, and there's also then the serial numbers from each mover which they put on the box just there. So when we fit one, we'll fill all this in, we'll send it off to powrtouch, and you'll get your 5-year warranty. Yep, let's get that out of the box and we'll set that aside there. Do you want to take that one in? Yeah. It's actually got a few more goodies in this one. So we've got our manual engagement. So this is our bar to put the mover on. We've got the shorter attachments for our cross actuation bars. We've then got the kill switch, or the main on and on switch that will fit in the battery box. We've got our little stops and our clamps. So this is what's actually going to clamp the motor mover to the chassis of the Caravan, which we'll show you more. The little stops, this is going to stop it if it does hit anything. Hopefully this will stop the mover from moving out of sync with the tyres when we set that up, and keep it all into the correct position. And then we've got cable ties, a few grub screws in there. These grub screws are actually going to go onto the main bar that's going to connect either side. So the grub screws will go into here. And then we've got all of our other little bits. Little wooden block, that's going to actually set our distance from the tyre to the roller, so that will make sure that we're at the right gap. So when we put it on, it's got the right pressure on. If it's not the right pressure and both sides are uneven, that's when we'll see that the motor mover will start turning in either direction as we're going straight. So they do need to be quite close to perfect. Next box, again we're going to then have the other side, and again if you were fitting just one set, so if it was either a single axle motor mover, it's going to look the parts in the box are going to look the same. It's just going to have a slightly different mover or motor body on there. If it was a single set of twin axle movers, you'll just have the one set of what we've already unboxed. Because this is the 4-wheel drive twin axle, obviously we've got both sets of movers for front wheels and back wheels. So this is going to just be pretty much the same as the other set. I've opened this one upside down, which was, I told you something was going to make us look stupid, and it did. Not to worry. Put that there. So again, in this box we have our parts. So same bars and pieces to connect it on. We've got another little bug with our grub screws and cable tidies, and also the other little wooden block for getting the distance correct. And then the actual mover itself and cross actuation bar again. As I say, they've got their own grub screws in here. This package is open, so if you are moving it around, make sure that doesn't come out and you lose that. It's going to be difficult to get hold of that afterwards. Pop those over there. So the key is don't open it upside down. I like for you to learn from our mistakes. So again, another control box, which once we've connected this set of movers and wired it all in, we've got to connect the power again to each mover, and then we'll sync the handset to both control boxes, which again we'll show towards the end. But again, this is just exactly the same as the first box. Then we've got our covers, we've got the actual mover part in there as well. Give you those. Right, so one thing that I've not shown you is the main bars. So this is going to go into the main tube here and connect both together. So this one side will connect to the other side with this bar here, and the grub screws that are in the little packet are going to go into here. So we'll move on to actually fitting it onto the Caravan. So we've now moved inside, so we've put appropriate PPE because we're going to get closer inside, unfortunately. We're now going to connect either side of the movers on, and we've put the little U-clamps onto the bar. The first plate sits on, and then we go up. Dan's going to hold that hopefully in place. I'm going to drop the top bar, and there is the washers on here, so we've got to just be careful because I'm trying to do this one-handedly, and these all went slot up into place and knock all the washers everywhere. So we'll fit the washers on. And then we can start getting our bolts or our nuts tightened up. And then these are 17mm, and we can literally just do one at a time. We'd normally use an air wrench on these, but that's just going to be a little bit noisy to do like this, so we're going to do it manually. And I'm just going to take the pressure from down, get the other side done up. We're obviously on the lift here, so we've got it up nice and easily on the ground, but you can, if you were fitting it at home, you can jack the Caravan up, so the front is in the air to begin with, and then I'll push this in, okay. And then secure the Caravan, and it does give you enough room to do it on the floor at home. It is a little bit tricky and a little bit tight underneath, but it's easily possible. We just have got the luxury of the lift, so obviously it just makes our lives a little bit easier. But it's literally our 4 bolts on. We're not going to fully tighten them, we're going to make sure that it's loose enough to be able to adjust it, but tight enough where the mover's actually not going to go anywhere. We normally have a little stand to put this on, which makes life a lot easier, and you can do it all on your own, but just in the interest of safety and make it easier to video. So once that's sort of held in place, we can still manoeuvre it round and adjust that as required. We'll now fit the other side exactly the same. We'll fit the main bar between the two, and then we'll look at starting to adjust it and then starting to tighten everything up. On this, it has got a spare wheel carrier, and we're going to put obviously a set of movers onto the rear, so the spare wheel carrier has got to be removed. You can get plates to move the spare carrier. Unfortunately, all of the waste pipes are where the spare carrier would be moved to, so it's fairly impossible really without completely majorly changing the whole pipe work of the Caravan. So unfortunately the spare wheel is going to end up having to go inside of the Caravan, either under one of the seats, either in the front locker. It has got a big front locker on this one, so that's probably where we'll end up putting it, or you can put it into the car as you're travelling. So yeah, we'll get the others fitted on. So we've now got the main part on the off side. We're now fitting the cross actuation bar, and that literally just pushes across and locks in. There's then a nut and bolt, so we'll put the washer on. We'll then come from the top and come through, and again we've got a washer and a nut that goes on. Now, depending on how wide your Caravan is, if you're fitting this, it might be wise to leave this off until we've actually fitted the other side. The reason being, if it's a wider van, we'll have enough room and we won't have an issue. But when we come to put the crossbar to connect the two movers, we need to slide it onto this bar, and then once the other side's fitted, we need to slide it back onto the other side. Now the chances are that we won't have enough room to do that if this nut's in, if it's a shorty van. If this is all loose, we can move the mover out to the side with the bar to give us a little bit extra room. So if you have put the nut in here, the nut and bolt in, and there's not enough room, don't worry, keep this loose. We can then slide it back over, so we can give ourselves extra room this side. We can slide the bar onto the other side and then slide it back in. It will all make more sense now when we put the other side on and we actually slide this into position. But I'd say at the moment, if we leave the bar out of here, the pin out of here, the nut and the washer out of here, that will just give us a little bit of extra play if we need it. So we're just going to drop the other side on, and then I'll show you how this goes. So again, just in a little bit more detail, we've got the two U-bolts that are going to come under onto the main bar. We're then going to put the plate onto that, and you can do one at a time if you wanted to. I'm trying to be awkward and put both on at the same time. The lip goes under the one side of the chassis. We then put our plate on, and again the plate goes with the ridge here towards the middle of the Caravan, and the grub nuts, the locking nuts, actually onto the chassis rail of the Caravan. We then put our washers on, and our nuts on, and again I'll just do one either side at the moment. I'll do those up, and that'll just save Dan's arms just for a second. Again, we've already fitted on the crossbar to this side, and I'll point that in a second. So we've already fitted the crossbar here, and now what I was saying a second ago about getting this on, we need to have enough room now, save having to carry the weight of this bar on the mover while we hold it up. If we can now slide this on, we now haven't got enough room to put this on. In this case it's because we've put this mover right in, so we haven't got enough room, and all we need to do now in this situation, slide it out, and then we can connect the two bars back in. If my glasses weren't steaming up with this mask, I could see what I was doing, and that will then just slide in. We'll measure this in a minute then and centre that up, but we're just literally going to get it into position at first. Now the main bar, we can slide that from either side, so if you want to slide that through, I'm just going to tighten one more nut up just so that we've got it a little bit more secure before we do that, and that will just square this side up also. So we do want to just make sure that we've got it secure, but with enough room to actually move just for adjustment. Okay, so Dan's going to feed that through. Hopefully they're going to line up. It's coming through, it's going to line up. Again, we've measured this bar and we've marked the middle already, so when we slide it through now, we'll mark the middle of the brake cable going to the front. We'll line our mark up with that, and that tells us that this bar is central. Then we've got this bar central because we've marked this one up with there, and we're now ready to start adjusting it, getting the levels right, so we're out into the middle of the tyre, and then we'll put our little blocks in. We'll then tighten it all into position, and then we'll put our little grub screws into place and lock everything all into position. So we've now adjusted the Motormover so that the little wooden block that it's supplied with fits nice and comfortably. It's not too tight. This is having new tyres on, so we've left a tiny little bit of gap, but usually would make sure that this was just pinching in very slightly, but as I say, it's having new tyres, so we have left a very slight gap just to allow for the new tyres that are going to go on there. So I'll show you in a second how we've lined up the edge, and we've pretty much got this to the edge of the tyre. We do have to just make sure that we've got clearance from all the shock absorbers, and nothing on the Motormover is going to impede on anything on the Caravan, so we're not going to hit any trims, and we've just got a nice clearance all the way around it for it to go on and off. We'll take the Caravan up into the air now, and I'll just show you what we've done underneath. So we've now adjusted the Motormover so that we're the correct width with the correct space from the tyre. We've made sure that the two bars are in the middle, so we marked the centres and made sure that they were pretty much in line with the brake cable running back. So I've tightened the Allen key grub nuts up on all of the bars now, made sure that the 4 bolts or the 4 nuts either side on the locking plates are all tightened.
Hey, what are you talking about? I did that.
Dan, I'm trying to do a video here, mate. Shh. So I've tightened all these up now, and I've made sure that they're tight. Shh, Dan, be quiet. Now that we're happy, we're going to put the little stop blocks in, and these sit onto the chassis just as so, and then as I've apparently not done any of this, I may as well do this one, and these will then tighten up. These are again a 17mm spanner. There is 2 nuts. The second nut is a locking nut, so make sure that that's up with the first nut when you're doing it up. And again, you don't want to go over the top, you just want to make sure that they're just nice and tight. and then tighten the locking nut up. Again, we'll just go through and just make sure all of the other bolts are nice and secure, all of your Allen keys are nice and secure, and everything is ready and complete. So that's one side done. We'll now put the other side on, and then we'll start to run the cables through. So we've now fitted the rear set of movers. So we've got front and rear set. Obviously we've had to remove the spare wheel carrier, as that was right in the way. The rear mud flaps have had to be removed. So we've just got this into position. We'll do all of our final adjustments afterwards. The position of the mover is literally in line with the outside edge of the tyre, and then again we've got good clearance all the way around the tyre when that goes on, so we're not going to catch anything. We're now starting to run the wiring. So again, it's got to go back towards the battery box. So we're just running it through. We'll use little protectors on the where the wiring will go through the chassis members, so that nothing gets rubbed or catches or rubs through the wire and damages anything. And we'll literally, it comes with all the little P clips to tidy all the cabling up. So we've just run it roughly now through towards the front where the battery box is on this van. We're into some conduit again because we're going back through the chassis. So the three sets, so we've got the front near side, the rear near side, and obviously the rear off side, all coming over into one place. Now we'll never cut the wiring down. We'll always leave the wiring exactly the same length. So when we bring the wiring up and into the inside of the Caravan, we'll actually keep the wiring exactly the same length on all of the movers. There's two reasons. First one is you can get a little bit of voltage drop. On the length of these wires, it would be absolutely minimal, to be fair, but you can get a little bit of voltage drop if the wiring lengths are different. So that's the first reason that we like to keep all the wiring the same length. But the other reason is if this ever needed to be removed and fitted onto another Caravan, the battery box might actually be into a different position. So it may end up that the wiring then needs to go into another location. So we've always got the original length of the wire on the movers. Then you can buy extra wires if required, but it's just an expense down the line that you're not going to have, basically. So we've run all the wiring through. We're going to P-clip and tidy all the wiring up now. The one coming across from the other side over this side will actually cable tie. Well, sometimes we'll cable tie it, actually run it above, so it's going to have to be P-clipped up to the underbody of the Caravan, the bottom of the floor. And then we will literally, we may just have a little vent that we can go through and into the inside of the Caravan at the rear of the battery box, or it may be that we just have to put a complete new hole in, which then will run the wiring up and then through. We'll then obviously seal all the hole up, anything that we put into the floor. If we do have to put a hole, we'll have to seal all that up, and then it's just on to cutting in for the remote switch, which we'll probably end up putting into the side here. So again, we'll do a little video in a minute with cutting that hole in. We'll then show you how the wiring comes through. We've already got the wiring for the battery coming through, so we've put two holes in. They have to all be sealed up again. So if you put any holes into this battery box, they've all got to be completely sealed up, so that if there was any gases off of this battery box, it's never going to come back into the Caravan. It's always going to come outside. They do come with some rubber grommets that you can actually put onto the cabling, which I believe will be on the inside, and then we'll use a sealant from the outside a white sealant out here, just to make sure it's double sealed then from inside and outside. We've now routed the wiring into the Caravan. We've come through an existing vent, so we've put some conduit in, as you can see just in there. We've run the wiring through conduit all in, and then we've got our two boxes here. So as you'll see, the polarity on the rear set of movers is actually opposite to the front set, so the positive and negative has been reversed to the motors. The positive and negative to the battery is exactly the same, so it just basically means that when you tell the front set of movers to go forwards, these will run forwards as well, but because it's on the back set of the axles, it's actually, if it was on the front set, turning forwards, if that makes sense and I've not overcomplicated it. But basically the rear set just needs to be opposite polarity to the front set, and you'll find then that they will run in the same direction. So this will be left set of movers, I believe, and that will be the right set, and again same on the opposite side. Positive and negatives, are two positive wires from here run into a connector. The connector comes with the kit, and then the other part of the connector then runs through the battery box and to the battery. Positive wire, so we've got a small little wire that just in the back corner there we've got the back of the key switch, so that goes onto the one, and then our two positives with our fuse spurs on, our fuses on, go to the other side of the switch and come through to both movers. So it's these here. So literally then when we turn the power on the battery, it puts the power through with the key switch through to the motor movers, and that will then control both of the control boxes here. With the remaining cable from the motors, as I said, we cable these up so that if ever you needed to, if a cable got damaged or you ended up swapping it over, all the cables are all the same length at the moment, so there's plenty of extra there. It's just literally going to be, we'll probably just tighten the connectors up, we'll give it a quick check just to make sure that we have got all the connectors in the right order, because again sometimes we'll mark these cables up as we push them through, so if any of the marking comes off, we'll just literally double check it just to make sure that everything is as it should be. Then once we're happy, we'll literally tighten everything back down 110%. We'll tidy all the rest of the wiring. There is a cover that goes into this section here, so that'll all be put back in and hide a lot of the wiring, and that's pretty much done. So what I'll do is, once we've given a quick test, I'll show you the actual mover working and doing what it should be doing. So we've now fitted the key switch into place, and we're just going to make sure that we've got clearance all the way around. The other one thing that we have to make sure is that we've got clearance for the 230 plug, so just make sure that when you fit that, there is the clearance to get the actual plug in, and you're not going to find that it's impeding being able to put that in. The positive and negative to the battery, it's literally just connected then to our battery connectors, as so.